You ever hear of GLAM? No? Well, that kind of makes sense, especially if you got into K-pop post-2015. But for the OGs, the name GLAM brings up some wild memories. Before BTS took over the world, before their speeches at the UN, and before they sold out stadiums across the globe, there was another big hit group, a girl group, one you've probably never heard of, and not for lack of potential. Their name? GLAM, and their story might be the most disastrous in K-pop history. Most people only remember them for two things: being called BTS's failed sister group and a certain blackmail scandal. But the truth is, what happened to GLAM goes far deeper than just one scandal. It's a twisted mix of fame, lies, betrayal, and a blackmail plot so wild it sounds like a K-drama. If you're already like, wait, how have I never heard of this? You're not alone. Drop a comment if you remember GLAM, or if this is your first time hearing the name. And hey, go ahead and subscribe. I dig up all the forgotten K-pop drama so you don't have to. And let me know in the comments which other group deserves a deep dive. I've got a list, and it's only getting longer. Okay, quick time travel moment. Let's rewind to the early 2010s. Right now, Big Hit, or HYBE, as they're known today, is one of the most powerful entertainment companies in South Korea. They've got BTS, TXT, LE SSERAFIM, and HYBE. The list keeps growing. But back in the early 2010s, not the case. Back then, Big Hit was barely surviving. They only had two active groups, 2AM, which they co-managed with JYP, and a ballad group called 8. That's it. And things were about to get tougher, because male idols have to enlist in the military around age 30. So Big Hit's existing artists were reaching that point, which meant no music, no tours, and no income. So what do you do when your stars are heading to the army? You debut new ones. By 2012, they'd been training a whole batch of male and female trainees. The plan? Launch 2 new groups, GLAM in 2012 and BTS the following year. GLAM wasn't just Big Hit's first girl group. They were co-managed with another startup company called Source Music. It was both companies' first attempt at launching a girl group, and expectations were high-ish, considering the circumstances. The lineup? Jiyeon, Zinni, Trinity, Miso, and Dahee. And these girls weren't nobodies. Even before debut, they were featured in songs by 2AM and Lee Byung Hun from 8. Dahee was already known in tech and anime circles. She voiced CU, the first Korean Vocaloid. And Miso had been on a survival show that launched Eric Nam's career. Oh, and here's a crossover moment for you. GLAM's backup dancers in one performance? A few random trainees named J-Hope, Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook. Before they were BTS, they were literally dancing in the background of a Vocaloid show. And their debut single also features a couple of BTS members. Total K-pop trivia gold. On July 19th, 2012, GLAM debuted with a single called Party, XXO. It was flashy, it was energetic, it had this gritty hip-hop inspired vibe. Definitely not your typical bubblegum girl group debut. Some fans picked up on the lyrics thinking they hinted at LGBTQ+ themes, which was basically unheard of in K-pop at the time. The song wasn't a #1 hit or anything, but honestly, not bad for a rookie group from non-Big 3 companies. They had potential, but then things started going downhill, fast. So just 5 months after GLAM debuted, rumors started swirling. One of the members, Trinity, was being accused of being a sasaeng, or obsessive stalker fan, of Super Junior's Lee Byung. According to rumors, she faked being the daughter of a broadcasting CEO just to get close to him. Now, in K-pop, being labeled a sasaeng is basically career-ending. These are the kinds of fans who invade idols' privacy, follow them to their homes, and sell personal information. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Super Junior's fandom, one of the biggest at the time, turned against GLAM. It also didn't help that she had a reputation for being blunt and hot-tempered. Trinity had already earned the nickname Cussing Granny on variety shows for her sharp tongue, and this just sealed the deal. She left the group on December 31st, 2012, and I'm putting that in air quotes, due to personal reasons. K-pop translation, she was kicked out quietly. Despite the mess, GLAM wasn't ready to call it quits. GLAM continued as a 4-member group into 2013. They dropped a new song on New Year's Day, literally the day after Trinity left, called I Like That. Then came In Front of the Mirror, and a little acting gig for Dahee in the K-drama Monstar, which brought some positive attention. It kind of looked like they'd survive. But but 2014 had different plans. And here's where things really went off the rails. In 2014, Dahee and her friend, a model named Lee Ji-yeon, were hanging out with Lee Byung Hun, one of South Korea's most famous actors. He'd starred in Hollywood films like G.I. Joe and was the only Korean actor to ever sell out Tokyo Dome. Big name. Now, this part of the story gets murky, and a lot of it is based on rumors and partial reports. What's clear is that Lee Byung Hun had allegedly been flirting with or making advances toward Ji-yeon despite being recently married. At some point, she and Dahee decided to secretly record him making explicit comments during a night of drinking at his apartment. They then demanded 5 billion Korean won, about 4.4 million US dollars, in exchange for not releasing the footage. They even booked flights to Europe, planning to flee the country after getting paid. But Lee Byung Hun wasn't about to play along. He reported them to the police immediately. Dahee and Ji-yeon tried to buy plane tickets to skip town, but they were caught and arrested on September 1st, 2014. The story exploded across Korean media. A K-pop idol caught trying to extort one of the country's top actors? The headlines practically wrote themselves. Dahee and Ji-yeon were arrested on September 1st. She was sentenced to a year in prison, though she didn't end up serving all of it. And with that, GLAM, already limping after their first scandal, was done for. At that point, GLAM was toxic. There was no recovering from two massive scandals involving two different members. On January 15th, 2015, Big Hit and Source Music officially announced that GLAM had disbanded. They hadn't even made it to their third anniversary. Their story ended before it really had the chance to begin. You'd think that after all that, the GLAM girls would vanish forever. Weirdly, most of them landed on their feet. Ji-yeon, now known as HYBE, became a soloist. She even auditioned for Show Me the Money 4. And yeah, her audition centered on her anger over the Dahee situation. It was raw. Zinni became a pro skateboarder, seriously. From K-pop to kickflips. Trinity, the one from the earlier scandal, launched her own clothing line. And Dahee? Well, this part's complicated. After Lee Byung Hun dropped the charges, Dahee never actually served her full sentence. These days, she models, streams, and reportedly makes over $200,000 a year. She's even released music again. Sometimes the industry is unforgiving, and sometimes it just shrugs and moves on. Their disbandment forced Big Hit to focus hard on their remaining trainees. That might have been the push this company needed to pour everything, time, energy, finances, into a group that would become one of the biggest non-Big Three successes in K-pop history, BTS. So here's the question, could GLAM have made it? Maybe. They had the edge, the style, the stage presence. And they were bold, arguably too bold for the time. But after two major scandals in less than 3 years, there was no coming back from that.